The first-person shooter genre, over the last decade, has become an oversaturated market. Each new entry looks to use the same formula with new set pieces to bamboozle consumers into thinking they are playing the next hit, when really they are just playing a shiny reskin of 2003 Call of Duty. There are the occasional unique twists on the genre, but for every successful Doom 2016 with its gory, fast-paced, arcade feel that reignited a title, there are 10 Quake 4s that failed simply because their multiplayer component failed to innovate. Enter Star Wars Republic Commando. God, you know it's a game from the early 2000s when it's got some rock band, montaging, and headbanging over gameplay highlights. I wish games still had advertisements like this masterpiece. Look at that. Beautiful. Who's Ash? No idea. What's the song about? Not a clue. Definitely got me hyped though. What happened to this advertising? Fish AI? How about AC/DC half naked, dancing and rocking out with some occasional gameplay in between? The year was 2005, the same year Revenge of the Sith hit theaters. Now I know, games and movies, they don't have a good history. In fact, nothing makes me more nauseous than seeing a game tainted with the title and art of a movie that came out the same year. But Republic Commando has nothing to do with any Star Wars movie. It's a completely separate piece of amazing fiction that utilizes the surreal elements of Star Wars and the Clone Troopers to develop a real brothers-in-arms squad. Not only does it tell a complete and compelling story in only several hours of gameplay, it uses one-click squad commands and teamwork to make you feel like the leader and orchestrator of Delta Squad. From moment one, you're drawn in a la the Chosen One narrative, except it's chosen few. You and your brother are special in their own ways. You aren't unsung heroes or a story as large as the universe. You're genetically engineered clones that were made to be 4 parts of a whole person, developing a personality unique in an army full of clones. Yes, these personalities aren't far off from the Ninja Turtles, but it doesn't stop a bond from forming between you as you go through the classic Star Wars battlegrounds. The first thing Republic Commando does right is the introduction. A good intro is paramount to pulling a player in, and Republic Commando pulls no punches. You're a baby in a jar given a designation. Happy birthday, baby. Enjoy being sped through the best part of life so you can become food for the droids. Then you're a kid learning how to assemble and disassemble guns. What is the layout of a Republic cruiser? Then you're a soldier training, target practice and physical exercise. Then you become a commando, one step up from the absolute chumps that are the clone troopers in this game. You have armor that works, weapons that can kill, and brothers that aren't useless fodder. You're trained, as your mother says, like the Eifer of our world, hunting in pods to bring down much larger prey. So too shall you join with 3 brothers and become fierce hunters for the Republic. And there it is. You're a fierce hunter, but alone you pose no threat to larger prey. Only with your squad can you accomplish your mission and survive in this game. And the game, through its narrative and gameplay, adheres to this. The best part about this entire intro is that yes, there are time skips between each of these introductory segments, but it's done so fluidly when you consider how Camino is a place where time skips are being genetically engineered into the clones through growth acceleration. In less than 5 minutes, you go from a baby in a pod to a commando at the start of the Clone Wars. This is how intros are done properly. The control was never taken away from the player. It wasn't a cutscene. You were a baby in a jar, then a kid, then you even participated in the training. 5 minutes. You don't have to know anything about the Star Wars universe, and the game gave you a solid, complete understanding of who you were, who your team was, and what your objective was. And for someone who is familiar with Star Wars, it's 5 minutes of lore-rich heaven. I genuinely cannot think of a better way to start a game. The second thing Republic Commando nails is its squad control. One-click commands. Simplicity has its own elegance. This cannot be understated. You're a squad engineered to work together. You cover for each other's weaknesses and have spent your whole life fighting together. It shouldn't take button combinations or hard controls for synergy to flow between your squad. One click. Let boss wave his hands around to let his squad know, but as the player, just one click. Need a door breached? Done. Need Scorch to take up a sniping position? Done. Need Sev to mount a turret? Done. You're the boss. The other clones can function to an extent on their own, but giving the player control of their AI in an easy-to-maneuver way is a perfection of gameplay. You are responsible for the death or the survival of your squad, and they will do what you tell them to, whether it's the objectively wrong or right thing. It's fitting both narratively and gameplay-wise. So when you tell Sev to go spend 20 seconds planting a bomb on a battle droid spawner, he's going to trust you to cover his back whether you are or are not. If squad commands are the foundation, then arenas are Republic Commando's skyscraper. While the gunplay and regenerative shields are like any one of another 100 games, the arenas can only exist because your squad. The arenas usually function like this. Your squad is given several positions to take, usually defensive positions strategically placed to give your squad an avenue to offensively push through an area so you aren't just turtling. These positions have cover one way and a usually deadly weapon that the commando will equip when oriented towards an enemy in that direction. This is the building block that the game then uses to create unique scenarios with. As you can see here, 3 perfect sniper holes are on one side of a bridge for my team to use and take cover in. I know that once I've set up, no droid is going to make it across that bridge without getting ripped limb from limb. The issue though, is how I'm going to take the other end of the bridge, where a turret and 2 battle droid spawners are set up. I'm at a stalemate unless I sacrifice my position to cross and start sending my dug-in commandos up to the spawners to start destroying them. Then it becomes a race against the clock to keep my commandos alive long enough for them to get the charges off without my whole squad dying. Not only that, but every time I try to push, a droid mounts the turret and murders me, leaving me on the wrong side of the bridge where no one on my squad can make it to me. Other arenas give your troopers too many positions for them to all take at once, and then force you to battle enemies from different directions, forcing you to reorient your squad each time they get ambushed, taking them on and off cover all while fighting yourself and using your equipment to hold back the enemy. Usually there is a timed objective you have to assign a commando to, and then several other positions for you to defend them from long enough for them to finish. I usually tend to hate infinite enemies in games, but under the circumstances in Republic Commando, it's an acceptable restriction. Without them, many of the arenas would turn into Call of Duty corridors, where you sat and waited for the spawning to stop. Instead, you are now restricted by ammunition and time versus enemies. You've got enough of both, but if you make too many mistakes or are too slow in trying to push through an encounter, you usually end up dying. These kinds of arenas keep the player on their toes and reward planned and decisive action. These arenas are where the game shines, and everything else in between exists just to get the player from one arena to the next.